Hi, how's it going? Today we will be briefly sharing some techniques to create this psychedelic background we used and later recorded for the accompaniment video for the music track It Was a Television. It has been inspired by this tutorial by Panther that I came across with, but maybe we can add some extra step to it. So we will start with a new composition. Mine is 1920 by 1080 pixels, 30 fps and 30 seconds long. Now let's create a new solid by pressing Ctrl Y or clicking on Layer, New, Solid. We can leave the color of the solid as it is since it won't really matter. Now we look for the 4-color grading effect and drag it to our solid. I recommend choosing some contrasting colors, but without making them too saturated so that the transition between one another won't be that rough. Now we drag the point of each color out of the screen. Click on the stopwatch of each point and hit U on the keyboard to see the keyframes. Let's advance a bit on the timeline, and now we move the points toward the center. Alt-click on the stopwatch and write the following simple expression: loop out and between brackets and between quotation marks, ping pong. Copy this and paste the expression on each point. Now select all the keyframes and press F9 on the keyboard to smooth out the animation. We can see the animation is being repeated indefinitely. And if we want to change the animation speed, we can simply drag the keyframes on the timeline. Now let's duplicate the layer by pressing Ctrl D and rename it as Grading Effect, because we always label our layers or something. Time for the fun to begin. Look for the CC lens effect and drag it to the top layer. We can play around with the values. Add the turbulent displace effect as well and set the amount to, let's say, something around 450 and the size to 300. Alt-click on the evolution stopwatch and type time *100. And we can witness to this wobbly animation we just created. We can also change the displacement effect, maybe twist is a good option. Click on Layer, New, Shape Layer. We can now select the rectangle tool and create a shape like this. Now open this up, add a new repeater and change the copies to 2. Open the transform repeater and change the X position value to 0, then drag down the Y position to the bottom of the screen. Scroll up and add a wiggle path as well to the shape layer. Open this up and set the size to a big value. And lower the details to 2 or 3. Change the point to smooth. Great! We have another waving thingy here. We can close this and set the blending mode to dissolve. If you cannot find this option, right click here, go to columns and activate the modes. You might be thinking that nothing has changed, but if we zoom in to the edges of the shape layer and add a Gaussian blur effect, we can see how by increasing the blurriness, the edge start adopting this grain looking, perfect for this aesthetic. Duplicate the bottom layer and drag it right below the shape layer. Set the track matte to alpha matte. Maybe we can press R on the keyboard and rotate it 180 degrees to make this more noticeable. Here's how it looks so far. As an additional step, we can create an adjustment layer by pressing Ctrl Alt Y or going to Layer, New, Adjustment Layer. I added a curves effect to increase the contrast. Then look for noise. I wouldn't recommend setting this to over 15 or 20. Then uncheck Use Color Noise. Finally, we can add a posterized time effect to lower the frame rate to 12 fps so that it has a more retro looking. And that it is for today. We hope you can find this useful to give you some ideas for your project. Thanks for watching this video. Bye!